This morning, I will deliver Advisory Opinion P16/2025 number 1, pursuant to Article 4 of Protocol 16 to the European Convention on Human Rights and Rule 94 of the Rules of the Court.
The European Court has issued an advisory opinion on whether a nun's cell can qualify as her home. The opinion is the Court's response to a request by Ukraine's Supreme Court for guidance on a case pending before it. That case relates to a dispute between a monastery and a former nun over her right to live in a convent owned by the monastery.
In 2004, F entered the enclosed convent that was attached to the monastery. She took her religious vows in 2009 and remained as a nun in the convent until 2017.
She left the convent in 2017 due to conflict with the leaders of her religious community. She later tried to return there several times, but was not able to gain access to the premises. She then turned to the Ukrainian courts, seeking an order permitting her to return to the convent. She has argued that she has no other housing and that her personal belongings are still there. The case ultimately came before the Supreme Court, which stayed the proceedings in order to obtain the advice of the European Court on two questions. First, on the right of a former member of a religious order to reside in the cell that they previously occupied, and secondly, whether the dispute should be resolved by the national courts or by the ecclesiastical courts as an issue of canon law. In its opinion, the European Court advises the Supreme Court to bear in mind, when deciding the case, whether the former nun has sufficient and continuous links with the convent for it to be considered her home. Relevant to this are her current status with respect to the religious community, and most importantly, respect for the autonomy of religious organizations. As for her right of access to the courts, this depends on whether her dispute with the monastery concerns a civil right recognized as such under Ukrainian law.
That is primarily a matter for the national courts to resolve. In so doing, it should subject the claim, as asserted before it, to careful examination and provide cogent reasoning for the conclusion reached on this issue, having regard to the relevant domestic law and case law.
The advisory opinion has been transmitted to the Supreme Court, which can now proceed to take its decision on the appeal in this case.